I want a sky bison so bad. I want a sky bison, just a little fluffy boy, just ride around on. Oh, it would be the best. Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Becca, Elliot D Moves. It has been an exhausting couple of weeks. I went to 2 cons back to back, double weekend of con, double weekend of fun, but it definitely was exhausting. The videos for those cons are out on my channel. I'll link them in the bottom, but you can watch them, see the fun that was had, see the cosplays that were done, other people's amazing cosplays, because there are so much more talented people out there. So yeah, you can check out those videos on there now. And make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you can check out more videos as well. That would be great and fantastic, and thank you so much. Today's video, as you're probably aware by my little tiny intro, we are gonna talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action version. Water, earth, fire, air. For me, and probably a lot of other people, Avatar: The Last Airbender was my childhood. Seeing the journey of Aang, this fun-loving, kind little airbending little boy, a literal child, have the fate of the world put on his shoulders by not only being the last airbender, but also the Avatar, the hope of the world. Set off on this journey with his friends, some of them fluffy, some of them not fluffy, and they go off and they save the world together. It was this cool animation on TV that I needed as a kid, you know? It was full of the sillies, full of cool fights, full of redemption, full of friendship. And in 2010, we were given the Avatar live action, the movie. And a legend was born in that movie. The legend is, it was not very good. I mean, yes, we had high expectations, but not even the lowest rank expectations were met. But that movie has been beaten into the ground of why it was not good, so we're not gonna continue talking about it. But with that, in the knowledge of Avatar having a live action not do too well, Netflix announced that they were going to take on Avatar: The Last Airbender and make it into a live action. And everyone was a little bit skeptical of how good it could be. I mean, to be fair, again, not gonna talk about it for very long, but that live action really did a number on us on trust around live action. However, with all that said, I'm gonna be honest. I think they did a good job. Let me explain. But before I continue, let's stop here and give a spoiler warning. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Spoiler warning. If you have not seen the Avatar: The Last Airbender in its completion as a animation, or if you haven't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender live action, this is your spoiler warning. There will be spoilers going on ahead of this. So just pause the video now, watch the animation or the live action, or both of them. You could do both, and then you can come back. We'll talk. It'll be a good time. I'll be excited for you to come back. So see you when you come back. Okay, let's continue. I think when I was watching the live action of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I think I came to an important realization around viewing live actions that are made from animations. Now, this might have been a realization that some of you have already picked up, but for some of you that haven't, let's go on this journey of learning together. I believe it is kind of something that kind of makes sense, but for some reason it really sunk in when I was watching this live action in particular. Animation and live action are different. I mean, I get it, there's a glaring reason why, but let me just explain. I think that it's important to note here, as kind of stated before, when a live action is created from an animation, especially an animation that is so well loved like the Avatar: The Last Airbender, there's gonna be skepticism around how well it's going to be made. And like previously stated, there was definitely a lot of fear around Avatar: The Last Airbender being made into a live action. I mean, for me personally, a lot of the time I'm like, why make an animation into live action? I mean, sometimes the beauty of the story that's being told is because it's animated. I mean, I do know why they do it. money. You got the story right there. I don't even need to make a new story. I just use this story and then make it into a live action and people will watch it. The nostalgia will hit us all and we'll want to watch it. However, with all that being said, something has changed in me this year around the hope that live action actually will get people excited for the animated story. And that was with One Piece, the live action. I'm not gonna go into this fully. I'm not gonna give my review on the One Piece live action. I mean, if you want me to do a video on that, definitely let me know in the comments and I'll do a full video of my review of One Piece live action. I just need to use it right now to get this point across because it was definitely a change in how animation can go to live action and it can be done right. Again, One Piece live action, a lot of skepticism going in to this creation because One Piece is loved by so many people. I mean, a lot of people were like, how are you going to condense this story? You do know it's 1,000+ episodes, right? How are you gonna do all those special effects? They decided to do the East Blue arc. There are 1 million episodes in East Blue. They did like 12 episodes of the live action. 40 minutes or like an hour long each episode. It definitely was not shot by shot. But the thing that the One Piece live action had and what made it so successful is that the live action kept the core of One Piece in its show. It stuck to that and it grounded itself in that. I mean, time-wise, you can literally not do animation to live action shot by shot. Animation has this wonderful ability to be able to stop time. The characters don't grow unless the animator creates it that way. Humans in real life, they grow. So you can't do shot by shot if you want the actors to stay the same throughout the whole show. Cuts need to be made, decisions need to happen. But the thing the live action did incredibly well for One Piece, the show was grounded in its core. Luffy wanted to find the One Piece, he wanted to be king of the pirates, he wanted to have a crew, he loved his friends. They kept that idea central, grounded the show in it, and it worked. I feel that is the success of an animation going to a live action, is that if the heart of the show, the key message, is kept core from animation to live action, and if you move out from that, you can have the show be successful. So the question is, did I feel that the Avatar live action had the heart of the animation? Let's talk about it. Again, just a reminder from above, animation has the ability to pause time of its characters. They stay the way they are until they're animated differently. Live action doesn't have that ability because the actors grow. And so time needs to be a consideration when making an animation to a live action. Aang, in this one, little tiny baby, little tiny voice, little tiny cutie. I actually had the opportunity to see the first episode of the live action at one of the cons that I went to. You can check it out again in one of my videos. The 4 main characters, Zuko, Sokka, Katara, and Aang, they all came to the preview of watching the first episode. And Aang's voice, little baby Aang, it's already been dropped. He dropped his voice because he is a teen. He's a growing boy. So time needs to be considered when making the live action. Though the production of the animation took several years, that didn't really affect the animation at all. The characters were able to be drawn just as they were yesterday. Didn't matter. Nothing could change from them. The live action is gonna have to account for time. It's gonna have to do that because those kids, they're gonna grow. It's not gonna stop. They're just gonna keep growing. The live action is gonna have to account for that. So one of the first things that was changed in the Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I think accounts for this use of time, was that we see the elimination of the Air Nation. Animation allows us to kind of take our time to find out how the Air Nation went, and Aang coming to terms with himself being the Avatar back then, his regrets around it. So going in, knowing the animation, we're kind of ready for that like slow figuring out. But the live action, I feel like they wanted to get everybody on the same page right away. So let us show all about the avatars, what they are, and Aang's backstory and why he's the last airbender right away. So that when we get to Katara and Sokka finding the glowing orb in the Southern Water Tribe, they can just kind of get to the adventure right away. I do feel like it was a little bit of a shock for those that have watched the animation, had experienced Aang's story on a little bit of a slower arc. I feel like that with this idea of time, the people that were creating the live action, I feel like they also had this idea that the urgency of Sozin's comet needs to be shifted a little bit. Sozin's comet comes every 100 years, amplifies that firebending ability, which pushes Aang and everyone to like get the Fire Nation before that comet comes, because Ozai's gonna come and burn it all to the ground. I really understood why he wanted to just burn it all to the ground. I'm like, okay, I get it, but now we need to do, but whatever. But they had to change that urgency to kind of fit within their timeline. We're not gonna say when it's coming, but it's on its way. And we're also gonna show it at the end of the show because we don't know if we're gonna get renewed. So we're just gonna show it at the end of the show and kind of just show it. Here it is. So I understand why they did that. Was it a little like iffy? Yeah, but again, I understand why they did it. Again, a little bit of a limitation with live action. Hello everyone, it's me, Editing Becca, coming from the editing-ness. Hey look, it's Schmetty, look at that. So before I made that video, they had not yet confirmed that Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action that Netflix did, Netflix hadn't confirmed that they would have book 2 and book 3. Literally like 2 days later after making that video, they had confirmed. Netflix had confirmed that they were getting book 2 and book 3. I'm really excited for the actors, really excited to see what they're gonna do. And also to say that when I say in the video that when I'm looking forward to them making the Avatar, the live action Airbender, and getting to do book 2 and book 3, they did it. They're gonna do it. So yay! More Avatar, live action, Airbender, let's go. Another thing they did with timing and trying to condense even the multiple episodes of the animation into the live action was they took a bunch of different like episodes and a bunch of different places and a bunch of different things that happen and kind of pushed them all into one little arc. In the live action, they end up going to Omashu. But what's in Omashu in the live action? Because there is King Boomy. He's in Omashu. But we also have Jet. He's also in Omashu. Also the Mechanist, Sai, and his son Teo, who were in the Northern Air Temple, they also got put into Omashu. We also got like some book 2 elements put into book 1 of the live action, the Secret Tunnel and the Badgermoles, which, to be honest, getting to hear the banger of the century, Secret Tunnel. Secret, secret, secret tunnel. Yeah. They're doomed. I'll take it. I'll take it any day of the week. Again, we gotta push the timelines together because we are shortening down how many episodes we're going to have. And these episodes really do show a lot of Aang's journey into becoming the Avatar. And also these episodes do also strengthen the group and help form the group a little bit better together. Also, speaking of nostalgic songs that were played that are from book 2 that came into book 1 of the live action, we got the little tiny instrumental of Leaves from the Vine, which automatically made me cry. Got this little musical melody in a very touching scene between Zuko and Uncle Iroh. Lu Ten, who is Zuko's cousin, Uncle Iroh's son, it was at his funeral. And there's a very touching scene between Zuko and Iroh that really does show how close their bond is. And I feel that the live action really amped this up in the first season. Again, an element of time. They have to kind of show that Zuko and Iroh are close. In the cartoon, in the animation, we got to see this long progression of them and their relationship and how close they are. See it grow in the animation is wonderful. Live action, again, doesn't have the luxury of time and being able to show us the journey. However, they did do a really good job of showing us why the bond is so close. Showing the backstory of Lu Ten's funeral and the choice that Zuko made in sitting beside Iroh and being there for him during the funeral and taking up space in that empty space that Iroh had in his life. We also see the backstory of how Zuko got his scar from his father, and how upset Iroh was about that, and how he showed up for his nephew in those moments of deep despair. Those that knew that the bond was strong, and those that this is their first experience of Avatar: The Last Airbender and showing this relationship, they really did show us that that bond was strong. And it's important for the story, so I appreciate the hard work that they did on that. That being said, I am going to talk about Zuko and Iroh a little bit later, so we're going to pause that for right now. Now, just going back to this arc that the live action made in Omashu, I think someone coming from the animation like myself, that was just a lot going on in that arc. That was just a lot of jumbleness, and I felt like they were like half there because there were just so many storylines. I feel like Jet's storyline was only half there. I only saw half of him. Ao and Sai only really see their half of their storyline, and Boomy, you only get to see him and his relationship with Aang just a little bit. Again, it's time that the live action just doesn't have that the animation does. However, I do feel if somebody had never seen the animation before, that they had just watched the live action before, they wouldn't see the rushness. I think they got a good arc out of that. So at least that's good. I just feel like if they just added one more episode to that arc, pulled out a little bit more out of each of those different storylines, it just would have been a little bit better. It just wouldn't have felt so rushed. Another thing that I know a lot of people were skeptical about going into the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender was this element of Sokka's sexism arc. There was this article that came out before it was even released, and I know everybody was talking about it, how they were going to eliminate the sexism that Sokka had from the animation. Now, Sokka had this like sexism arc where he's just like, men are strong and men do the fighting and women do the cooking and the cleaning. And then he goes to Kyoshi Island and he realizes that women can kick butt. It also helps him in his growth to be able to figure out what kind of a leader he wants to be. However, in the live action, they were going to take away this element of Sokka being sexist. And people were upset about it. I think they were a little bit too upset about it. When I watched live action, I was interested to see what they were going to do with Sokka, what his arc was going to be, how was he going to grow. And I'm going to be honest and say, I think they did a really good job with Sokka and his growth. Sokka's journey throughout the whole Avatar series is that he's trying to figure out who he is as a leader in this world. What is Sokka's strength? That's what he's trying to figure out. I mean, he's in a group full of benders, in a world where people can bend the literal elements of the world, and he cannot. His little sister is a bender. His dad is the chief of the village, and he has responsibility just like thrusted upon his shoulders. And he definitely feels like he isn't living up to expectations. The kid is full of pain. His mom was taken from him early in life. His dad has gone off to save the world. He needed to basically gain courage yesterday, and he just feels super lost. He doesn't know who he's supposed to be. If he's supposed to be somebody else, he doesn't know who that is. He's just at this point where he's just trying to find himself while also survive. Then also make sure the others around him also survive. He really doesn't know what it means to be a warrior. And they really push this element in the live action, and I think it worked. I think one of the scenes that was most heartbreaking for me, when they were in the spirit world, watching Sokka experience that his father didn't think that he was going to be a good warrior, like overhearing that conversation. He didn't think that Sokka was going to be a good leader, that he wasn't cut out to be a leader. And it was really painful to watch that. As an older sibling, you feel that all the time. You feel this all the time, that you're just not good enough and you're just not doing all the things you're supposed to be doing. And I really feel that the live action did this well. And I feel like that was the motivation that the live action chose to have for Sokka's character growth. Him being himself, who he was enough. That he was brave enough. That he had enough courage. That he was a good warrior. He still could learn from those around him different types of skills, but he himself was enough. I hope that it continues throughout the series, him finding himself and him trusting himself, and for him to know that the others around him trust him with his skills and with his courage. I think it'll be really interesting to see that continually develop throughout the series. Another thing I really liked about Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action, was the action, the fight scenes. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know anything about fight choreography, I don't know anything about fighting, but I can kind of tell when it's not great. And for me, watching it, it looked convincing to me. One that does not know anything. And to be honest, the fire bending was so much better than that other live action that we're not talking about anymore, but at least the fire bending came from the actual person and not from, like, you know, a source of fire. Along the other things that I liked about the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action was Zuko and Iroh. We're bringing it back to them because I'm going to talk about these two actors and how well I think they portrayed their characters. Starting off with Uncle Iroh, I think Uncle Iroh is one of the hardest shoes to fill in this entire series, other than probably Aang, because he's like the lead and very important. The original voice of Iroh, his voice was iconic. He just had like natural comedic timing. It is one that will sit in our hearts absolutely forever. It is such big frickin' shoes to fill. And I gotta say, I gotta give it up to Paul. I think he did such an amazing job filling those shoes. I did find that the live action did lack in comedicness when it came to Iroh, but I feel like they were trying to do something different with Iroh. I felt that they were really pushing this bond, this almost like pseudo father figure element of Iroh for Zuko. And it did come with comedy. They did have some really good banter with each other, and Paul killed it with the comedy like he always does because he's a comedic actor. Please go watch Kim's Convenience. If you've never seen it, it's amazing. He's a great guy. Again, you're never gonna fill the shoes of Mako, who was the voice of Iroh before, so you should try to make Iroh your own. And I think Paul did an amazing job with that. I think he did Uncle Iroh amazing justice. There's still that heart of Iroh in Iroh, so thank you, Paul. I also do feel that Zuko was incredibly cast. His actor was amazing. The actor gave Zuko a little bit of an arc throughout this book, which he does have in the animation as well, but I just feel like he grounded him a little bit more on his transformation. Zuko in book one was a little bit of a brat, and I really feel like Dallas, the person that played Zuko, really brought that whiny little brat energy into Zuko, but he also balanced it off with this softness that Zuko also has inside of him. Dallas really made Zuko's pain visible. Hurt that was inside him, it was there. He really balanced that well. He kept that fight within him throughout the arc of this first book, and I really do thank him for that, and he deserves all the credit for making Zuko great. Now, there is some weak points in the live action, and one of the glaring weak points that I found was in dialogue, especially amongst the main cast. Acting a character that was like previously a cartoon that made faces like and like bleh, and like ugh, cactus juice.
Drink cactus juice. It'll quench you. Nothing's quenchier. It's the quenchiest.
That's also really hard to translate that into normal everyday talk that has still the heart of the cartoon character, but also in a way that normal everyday people would talk about it, even if you are in a fantastical world. I do want to say that I acknowledge how hard those actors worked. I did find that the dialogue was choppy, and I did find that sometimes the dialogue was rushed. Words were like muttered and put together, which again is just gonna come with time. These kids are young. They're young actors, and they're just trying to find their foot. And to be honest, they're doing way better than me, and I am a lot older than them. So they're doing already amazing. There is room for improvement, and I do feel that these actors have the skills and the abilities to make those improvements. So I'm excited to see what they come up with. I also feel like the Northern Water Tribe and that whole arc was incredibly rushed. Aang didn't even get trained by Master Pakku, and he just kind of wound up knowing waterbending by the end of it. it was rushed. They just didn't have enough time, but it would have been nice for Aang to learn a little bit from Master Pakku. I also do feel that the ending scene of Aang inside the ocean spirit in his little avatar farm was a bit too violent. I know that he goes into the avatar state and he's only calmed down because Princess Yue sacrifices her life, becomes the moon, everything's okay, and they all kind of get back to balance again. But even in the animation, like, it's just like he's just kind of pushing the Fire Nation out by a big wave. He's kind of like pushing the boats down a little bit, but it's not as violent as the live action made it be. Aang is a sweet little boy. He's a sweet little boy, and yeah, he has to be a little bit violent to be the Avatar, but for me, it just was a little bit too violent for Aang, and especially knowing the animation and knowing where the story is going to go. He's gonna fight Ozai at the end, the Fire Nation Lord. He's gonna fight him, and he is gonna choose not to kill him out of his own principles. Like, I don't want to be that violent and just kill people. So like you kind of see that he's not that violent in the animation when he's like pushing the Fire Nation away from the Northern Water Tribe, not really like destroying their boats and stuff. But the live action makes it seem like he just wiped out the entire Fire Nation, like little armada there. So I'm kind of wondering where they're gonna go with that to like be like, oh, but I don't want to kill Lord Ozai. And again, maybe they'll be like, oh, it's because he was in that ocean spirit and he was in the Avatar state. Now I can control the Avatar state a little bit better. They'll figure out maybe something there. It just seems a lot for me. So I'm interested to see where they go from there. Overall, I really enjoyed the adaptation, the live action of Avatar: The Last Airbender. There was more Kyoshi in it. There was a bit more of a backstory of Karuk, the water avatar before Aang. We also got to see a little bit more of a backstory of Ko, that like face swapping weird centipede little creature thing. And he also was super creepy in the live action, which I appreciate. I really appreciate how creepy that was. I know that they have a lot to work on with the live action. I hope they continue to make book 2 and book 3. There's a lot of stuff I look forward to in those books. I want to see more Azula. I know we got to see a little bit of her in this book, which we don't normally get to see in the animation, but I did appreciate being able to see her, but I hope we get a little bit more of her as the story goes on. I do feel that the live action did what it set out to do. It did keep the heart of the story for me. Aang is the hope for this world because he is kind in a world that is very unkind. The animation also did show that friendship, your friends, are the people that you can rely on. And I do feel that the live action also made that a true fact. Did I feel that Aang, Katara, and Sokka become close? I do feel that they did a little bit. I do feel that they can become closer. And I do think that with the time of the second and third book, we will see that closeness develop even more. I do feel like the animation, they were able to just have the time to be able to develop closer in the first book, but there is room for improvement in this live action. So I do have hope for book 2 and book 3. Also, for those of you who have never seen the animation of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I do feel that this live action is a really good place for you to start. However, you should also watch the animation. It's fantastic. It's amazing. Treat yourself, you know, watch them both. You deserve it. It's a great story. So those are my thoughts on the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender. What are your thoughts on it? Did it meet your expectations? Who was your favorite character coming out of the live action? Was it the same from the animation? I really felt a lot more drawn to Sokka in the live action. However, I've always kind of felt drawn to Sokka being an older sibling. However, my favorite has always been Iroh and has continued to be Iroh even with the live action. So just love Iroh so much. Love Uncle Iroh! Let me know in the comments though what you think. And until next time, go eat your cabbage. I didn't even make a Cabbage Man reference throughout this whole video, but he was in there and I also really thank them for that. But anyway, go eat some cabbage. Have a good day, bye. Secret, 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 secret tunnel. Yeah.